There's something quietly revealing about the way a city can change in someone's memory. Not overnight, not with fanfare, but in that slow, almost unnoticed way that leaves you standing in a familiar place and realizing the atmosphere itself has shifted. That's the feeling Darragh Ennis described when he spoke about returning to Limerick. And for anyone who's watched him as the menace on the chase, it lands with a particular warmth. He first came to the city years ago for a stag party. Back then, he remembers it as run down, a little rough around the edges, the kind of place that didn't always feel welcoming after dark. Now, standing in the same streets, he simply says it's such a nice city. The contrast is gentle, but it carries weight. Because when a man whose professional life is built on precision and pressure chooses to talk about a place with that kind of open affection, viewers notice. It isn't polished tourism speak. It feels like someone who has actually walked the streets and felt the difference. Earlier this summer, he tested hundreds of quiz fans inside Thomond Park. The night went well. Really well. He talks about the crowd, the venue, the spirit in the room. Irish audiences, he says, love quizzes and take them in the right spirit. That phrase stays with you. There's a particular kind of joy in watching people compete without turning the night into a battle. The laughter stays higher. The banter stays sharper. The whole room seems to understand that the point is the shared experience as much as the score. And now he's coming back. September 22nd at Dolan's. Another stop on a tour that has been pulling packed rooms across Ireland. The format is interactive, app-based, designed so no one can quietly cheat while pretending to think. The audience even gets to turn the tables and quiz him. He used to offer cash prizes, but people took it too seriously, so now the winners receive what he calls a stupendously terrible trophy. There's something endearing in that decision. It says he understands the difference between competition and connection. What makes these nights land so strongly for the chase fans is the shift in dynamic. On television, Darragh is the one applying pressure, the one whose knowledge feels almost unfair at times. In a live room, he becomes the host, the target, the person willing to be caught out. Viewers who have spent years watching him from their sofas suddenly get the chance to sit a few meters away and try to trip him up. That reverse energy is powerful. It turns the usual television hierarchy on its head for a few hours, and people respond to that with genuine excitement. There's also the quieter detail he shared about the last Limerick visit. An hour to kill before the Thomond Park show, so he and his team slipped into Miles Breen's for a non-alcoholic beer and watched a bit of rugby. No grand entrance. No cameras. Just a man killing time in a pub before going to work. Those moments matter more than they first appear. They humanize someone whose on-screen persona is built on being formidable. They remind audiences that the person answering questions at lightning speed also sits in ordinary rooms and notices when a city has improved. The tour itself seems to have become something larger than a series of quiz nights. It's a chance for people who love the show to step out of the passive role of viewer and into something shared. Teams arrive, sometimes late in the Irish fashion he has gently noted, and the energy rises. The questions come fast. The banter flows. And somewhere in the middle of it, the same man who once needed a new back door for his house is now the reason a room full of strangers is laughing and competing and, for a few hours, completely present. What stays with many people after nights like these isn't simply who won the terrible trophy. It's the feeling of being in a room where knowledge is treated as entertainment rather than a weapon. It's the recognition that Irish quiz culture still carries a particular warmth that English crowds, for all their strengths, don't always match. And it's the quiet satisfaction of watching a city that once felt different to a younger visitor now being praised by someone who has seen both versions. Darragh Ennis is not reinventing the quiz. He is simply bringing it back to rooms where people still want to gather, still want to shout answers, still want to try and catch the menace out. And in choosing Limerick again, with that simple, sincere observation that it is such a nice city, He has given fans something more than another date in the diary. He has given them a small reminder that places change, that people notice, and that sometimes the most memorable television moments happen long after the cameras have stopped rolling, in rooms filled with ordinary people who simply love a good question. What do you think? Will you be trying to get tickets, or are you content to keep watching him from the sofa? Did his description of Limerick match your own memories of the city, or did it surprise you? The conversation, as always, is open.